I know that many of you have heard it even before, but for the sake of a good repetition, I will try to educate you more on the explosive weapons in populated areas, because as Vladimir said, this is a strategic subject for Handicap International, not only for advocacy but also for the communication. So in case you have any questions, you can directly stop me and ask what you need from me more. So, for those who haven't ever lived in a war or really followed it from the close, it's very difficult to understand that every moment as we speak now, people are being killed and injured, and it's really the impact of explosive weapons that we are seeing on the field right now today. So today we are going to talk about the problematic, what it is. We are going to talk about the political process, how we are trying to address this topic. We are talking about how HI is engaged strategically and what is our strategy on this topic. And then we are going to focus on the mobilization of the general public, and this is where Gilles is going to make his part of the presentation, and on others as well. So on the problematic part, we could say we are often asked what are explosive weapons and what is the impact of this, why are we engaged on this topic. What does it mean to live in a conflict and to be exposed to this problem? So we often say that people are being injured and killed while they are living a normal life in a conflict area. That there should be a protection for everybody who lives in the conflict area, but we see today that that's not the case, and this is why we started to get engaged on this topic. So basically the first and the biggest reason was that this topic presents a grave risk to the civilian population. There is a huge impact on children. We have seen so many times so far that the impact of explosive weapons is particularly directed towards children while they are in school, while they are playing, because these are weapons that cannot distinguish or make a difference between civilian, between a child, between an animal, or between a military or an army. So this is one more reason why we are engaged in this topic. Besides this first, let's say, reasons of explosive weapons being a grave risk for civilians, we see the horrific impact on the infrastructure. So basically all the vital infrastructure is being destroyed, from schools to hospitals, then the private homes, water and sanitation, lighting, so everything in this regard is impacted by this problem. So people that are living there do not have, let's say, access to normal life. And then at the end we see that when people are exposed to such a certain situation, we see that people are leaving their homes, they are trying to find a safe place in a conflict area which is not bombed severely during the conflict time. So they try to find a safe area in that place, or they look for the refuge outside the country. If we start talking about the figures, there is one organization that is doing the data collection. They're the only one who are doing the data collection today. Their name is Action on Armed Violence, and they have recorded more than 40,000 persons being injured or killed by the explosive weapons in 2016. We're talking about only this year all around the world. If we are talking about places, we would say Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Afghanistan, and Turkey are the most affected areas. We have seen that in some cases there was an increase from 20% to 180% in civilian injuries, and that's the 180% is a case for children and also for people that are being displaced. So when we are talking about the problem, the number that you see, 45,000, it's the real minimum, because these data is collected from the English-speaking media, meaning that this is only what we see as being reported to the world, meaning that there might be even more civilian deaths and injuries according to this these statistics. What we don't see is what is the extent of the infrastructure damage. We cannot assess that right now because things are being completely destroyed more and more. We have been seeing the drone images from cities like Aleppo or Homs. This is only one portion of what we are seeing from here and what we can witness being away from the conflict. So if you just see these figures, you would then expect that there is something, there is a gap between the military engagement and the rules that they have to follow and practice on. What are we talking when we are talking about explosive weapons? And since I believe that you are going to be, all of you are in a way advocates for our organization because you talk to your friends and to your family members and you're talking about explosive weapons. So what are explosive weapons? We say that explosive weapons are conventional weapons, meaning those that are produced in fabrics, they're fabrically produced. We are talking about different types of weapons, and you're going to see later, I'm going to show you a picture. We are talking about grenades, mortars, we're talking about hand grenades, we're talking about artillery bombs and a lot of different type of weapons that could have this impact on civilian population that is wider than the smaller, let's say, or light weapons. We are also talking here about one big problem today, and it's improvised explosive devices. But this is a topic that is very difficult to be tackled because it's related to non-state armed groups, meaning that these issues are discussed with non-state armed groups, and that's not really the mandate of Handicap International. But it's under this general problematic as well. What else we are talking about? When we are talking about explosive weapons, we particularly are concerned by the wide area effect of explosive weapons. So what does that mean? You will hear me saying most of the time explosive weapons with wide area effect. So how do we measure this wide area effect? These are the weapons that from the point of detonation make a big blast with explosion, that make a big blast, a big circle of fragmentation. Fragmentation are those small pieces of metal case of a bomb. And we are talking about imprecise multi-launched weapons, meaning the rockets that are simultaneously just transferred over the area and that impact a wide area in this case. And I'm going to show you afterwards how that functions in a weapon. What is also important for you to understand when you're communicating with other people is the populated zone, populated areas. So here we are using a very loose terminology, populated area, because if we go to the dictionary you will find densely populated area or urban areas. These are more related to cities and towns, but what we want to see that every concentration of civilian, even is it a market, in a village or a rural area or in the city, is a populated area, and in this case then it should be protected from the impact of these weapons. So this is only a range of weapons that are used today in Syria. These are called the Syrian Dirty Dozen. Here you would not see a barrel bomb, which is widely used by the Syrian army mostly, because it's an improvised explosive device. Here what we see are fabrically produced weapons, meaning that you can legally buy them on the market, and their use is legal. These are all legal weapons, they're not bad. So from this one, Odab, which is kind of a big heavy bomb, it contains around 520 kilos of explosives, until this Grad, which is, this little man is approximately my height. So you will see the extent of bombs that are used here. This one, Luna M, is they call it also the frog. It penetrates through the field, and it can penetrate to a concrete which is around 20 centimeters to half of the meter thick. So it has a very wide area and it's very powerful. It's mostly used to destroy the underground, let's say, military targets. Today we are mostly concerned by the Grad. This is the first one that is there. It's a long, little, very thin but very long grenade. and the AFAG bomb, which is the aircraft bomb. And I'm going to show you now how these, how both of these weapons, when they're used in the populated areas, how does it look like.